Hey guys, not sure if my microphone's on or not, so let me know if you can't hear me. I am drawing hair, so let me go here. I just want to invite somebody. I don't know if she can come on, but I want to invite her because it's her daughter that I'm drawing. Hang on one second. I'll tag her. How is everybody doing today? I am doing fantastic. I am working on hair, and I thought I'd jump on because one of the biggest questions I get with portraits is how do you draw hair? So I thought I would talk a little bit about what I'm doing while I'm doing it. This is a portrait of a little girl. She's not that little. I think she's 11 maybe. Now what you'll see in the photo is her hairstyle is like kind of flipped over her head, and her mom didn't want that. She didn't want that. She just wanted the regular, she always has her hair kind of down, just parted like that. So we're switching it. We're changing it up, which isn't a big deal. So I have this here kind of as reference just for some lights and darks, but I'm really just kind of creating the hair as I go, which is super fun. So what I've started to do is just charcoal in some darker tones. So you kind of want to set your dark tones first. So I'm just kind of going in and doing that. And then I'm going to slowly, I'm just going to work in this section for a few minutes, and I'll show you how I slowly pull out the lighter hairs on top. When you're doing hair, you want to do it in like chunks of hair, not individual pieces of hair, because then that comes out looking really stringy and straw-like. So if you do it in chunks of lights and darks, and then as you get to the end, you can pull out individual hairs to make it look more realistic. That's how you want to kind of tackle it. So that's what I'm kind of working on. So if you have questions or comments, just drop them in. Let me know how everybody's doing today. I'm just chilling, listening to some music, and I'll talk a little bit about what I'm doing as I'm doing it, but there's going to be moments in between where it'll just be me and the radio. So this is a tortillion. So I just laid down some charcoal, and I'm just using my tortillion to kind of break up the chunks of it that I put in. And I'll do this is done in lots of layers. So I'm not going to be able to finish this section with you on the live. It's just, you know, it'll be boring for you guys. So I'm just giving you kind of like the overall idea. But then, you know, I would continue to work on it in the same way to finish. So with the very last step being the tiny hairs, which is the really fun part, right? That's the part we all want to get to. We want to see it look really, really cool. So when you're doing roots, even on a blonde person, typically at the root is always darker than the rest of the hair. So you definitely want to get some color in there, right? So don't worry about going a little dark at the roots. Now this little girl is, from what I can tell from the pictures, she's a lighter brunette. And if her mom jumps on, she might be able to correct me. She's a lighter brunette, and I think she's got some underlying reds in there. She's got very pretty hair. So I'm working from a black and white, but the color image of this shows it pretty brown. But then there's some other images of her where clearly you can see there's red highlights in it. So, but we're working in black and white, so the red isn't going to matter. But we do want to make sure that we get those highlights in, you know, lighter, like a more blonde color. So you can see, but even for a blonde person, I would go in and darken up these roots because I want to have values. I want to have the darks to the lights. If I don't have the dark, it's hard to tell that they're even blonde, right? So I just kind of keep working in my darker areas. When I get down into, I'm not working on this side right now, just this side. But when I get down into these areas, see how what I mean about chunks? So I'm not working on individual hairs, but I would put in like this whole section of dark right here and make it into a curl. So, and so this is the part right here, the dark part that's turning away from the light. And then as we come up into the lighter part where it gets lighter, it's turning towards the light. So then we have, we switch it to a lighter color because we want it to reflect the light, right? And that's going to create those highlights. But see how you can work in chunks of hair. You don't have to worry about all the individual hairs at this point. See that? Look how pretty that is. So hair can be really difficult. It's just a matter of practicing it, honestly. But I know a lot of people struggle with it, so that's why I wanted to kind of. But see how I'm leaving this little chunk here light? And I'll go in and I'll add some darks in here, but I'm going to keep it lighter than this because this is real. What I'm saying is this is in front of that. This is behind, this dark is behind the light. So if that makes sense, that's kind of how you do it. But I want to stay focused up here. So I want to finish this section and then work my way down. And again here, see how I'm keeping this lighter than this? Because this is coming up. This chunk here is in front of and lower than this chunk. This chunk's going to give the appearance of it popping up. So that's why I'm keeping it lighter. This is a just a regular eyeshadow applicator that I buy from the drugstores. They work so good for creating smooth skin textures and just initially getting the hair colors, the tones onto the hair. So rather than using the small pencil tip, I love using these. J.D. Hilberry. I took a pencil workshop with him a couple years in a row, and he introduced me to the makeup applicators. Before that, and I still do, I used paintbrushes. And I still do use paintbrushes, but these tend to fill in the areas a little bit quicker than a paintbrush. So now here on her forehead, she's very light on the photo, but I'm gonna make that a little darker just because the photo isn't really what I want anyway. It doesn't have a lot of depth to it. Probably had like, maybe it's the direction of the light, or there may have even been a flash on which created a kind of flat features on her. Flashes will do that. So I'm gonna make it darker along her hairline anyway, so I'm not too concerned about following the picture perfectly. I never really worry about that. As long as you get the lights and the darks, you don't really have to worry about it being identical. So this applicator is another makeup applicator that I use, and I actually use this to remove graphite. So if I go this way, it almost acts like an eraser without damaging the tooth of my paper. So I can get these really nice transitions in where it goes from light to dark. And of course I would work on that. But I can also use it on the hair to pull some of that graphite up and off. See that? It's not a lot, it's just enough. But it doesn't damage my paper the way an eraser would. I'm not using hard pressure. So in these beginning stages, it looks a little flat because I'm just trying to get color on there right now. Once I can start to refine it now, so I'm going to go in because like I said, her hair isn't super dark. Now I'm going to switch to my actual graphite pencils. So I'm going to go to the 7B. These are the I never know how to say this. Cran d'Ache. They are the graphite pencils. I love them. They're expensive, but they are now my favorites. So you may have a glare from my light. Yeah, you do. Let me see if I can turn that off. That might be a little bit better. The graphite reflects light, and that's why you'll see the glare. That's why I often like to use charcoal for shadows, because it won't reflect the light. It's black. It's just flat. So it's nice to use for shadows. I love to use graphite for skin and hair because it does give it a shine. So I don't mind that. So I'm just adding in some darker streaks here. This little girl's just beautiful. Just beautiful. So I can put these in. I'm using a light pressure. I'm not using a lot of pressure. And as I come down here and up, I can vary like where my line strokes are going, creating like a tousled kind of, I don't care, I'm 11, I've been playing look, which is stunning. It's like when we're kids, we don't care, right? At a certain age, we don't care about our hair. And then we go through this like period of like, oh, it's everything. Our makeup, our hair, our clothes, it's like has to be spot on. So we spend all this time doing it. Then I think we go back to like this age where it's like we want that tousled look, right? That like, oh, that look like I don't care. And we work really hard to get it, but it's hard to get. Oh, being a kid is bliss. So now I'm just starting to break up some of these chunks here, adding some. I can switch between my graphite. Now I can go to, I think this is my 2H, which is a harder pencil, which is a lighter graphite pencil. So it's not going to lay down as dark of a line as the 7B. B's are softer pencils, H's are harder pencils. Oh, who's calling? Oh, that's nobody. That's okay. I don't know the number. Hi, Andrea. Hi, Tom. Classic Combo. Are you talking about the music? Probably the music.
Yeah, she's totally gonna get copyright.
All right. I'm not gonna get copyright. If they do, whatever. It's not like nobody can go on Pandora and listen to the same thing. I'm not stealing it. I'm just streaming it. Yeah. Okay. So we can get, I can get some lighter lines in here, but start to break some of these chunks up. Okay. And then what I can do, well, I can do a couple things. I can go back in with my charcoal and darken this up again. Now you have to remember, charcoal does not go over graphite well. See how it's sliding? So really what I would do is probably use my charcoal for a while and really get this to the darkness I want. But as long as I don't use it, press too hard with my graphite and use too much, I can still get this. See that? Look at how that's sliding. So you do have to remember that. You do have to keep that in mind. But I can still get some of this darker charcoal over it. So I could still create some of those really deep, dark values. Even though I went and did some graphite. So now as we go to the back of the hair in my picture, there must have been a light in behind her. It looks like there's light all over, and that's probably why we didn't get a depth, very much of a depth to the photo. But I can create, when I'm all done, I'll create some really light hairs back here. Some real fine ones to kind of, some flyaways to give that some more depth. But that would be one of the last things I do, one of the final touches. So we just kind of keep working back and forth. There's another pencil too that I really like to use. It's called the Primo Elite Grande or Grand Pencil 5000, and this is it's not charcoal, but I think it has it's a flat, so when you put it on, it kind of acts like a charcoal where it's flat in the light. There's no shine to it, but it's got a I believe it's got graphite in it. I think it's like a mix, but I'll have to definitely look that up to be sure. But it's another pencil I really like. You don't really see them at your local art stores. You have to kind of go online and buy them. I've never been able to get them at Michael's or Hyatt's. I always have to go online. So again, I'm still working in chunks. And I'm just kind of focusing on the top here. And I'll work my way down as we go. So then I can come back in with my tortillion and push some of this out. Soften it. We don't want streaks like that. Heavy streaks. It's not how our hair, well, unless you purposely have it done that way, which I have in the past, but it's not typically how our hair is naturally. So what's everybody up to? Are you guys working? That's what I'm doing. Working. It's going to be lunchtime soon. Oh, it's 12 already. I can't believe it. I've been trying to get in my studio earlier in the mornings. I do better work in the mornings. I've noticed that by, 2 o'clock, I'm spent. I think it's, my eyes get tired. My eyes and my hands. So, I've been trying to get in here I want to get in here by 5 a.m. and work the morning. It's just so quiet and stuff, but yeah, so for me it's been like a full day already. It's been crazy. I'm ready to go, go to bed. So I'm just smoothing out those darker areas I put in. And this time I won't use the makeup applicator because it takes too much color off. I want to keep these areas darker now. If I find when I'm done I want to pull some of that color up, I can either use an eraser or use the applicator that will lift some of the color, some of the darker tones. But right now I want to keep it pretty dark. So typically it's going to be dark here. It's going to be lighter in these areas where it's going to hit the light. And then as it comes down to the bottom of the page down here, it'll be darker because then it's turning in again from the light, depending on where your light source is coming from. So I don't really have a light source with the photo. Like I said, it's kind of all over, so I'm just kind of doing it. But you can see how rather quickly we can really start to get the effect of hair going. It does take a few hours to do some, sections from start to finish. So it's not a process you're going to rush through. I mean, you certainly can, but if you want it to look really realistic, you're going to want to take your time and apply the layers. One of the last things I'll do too is I'll go back in with an eraser and lift hairs that cross over each other to give it that really realistic look. Because hair is rarely perfect, right? It's always doing something on its own. Let me see if I can turn the light back on so you can see a little bit better. That might be okay. I hope there's not too much of a glare. It's easier for me to see with it on. I worked on her left eye a little bit more this morning. I started to add in some of the little eyelashes, and I started to get her eyebrows a little more tone to them and value and definition, a little more definition. I've started to work in those areas. But still, not done. I like to jump around and kind of work on things here and there, kind of like what I'm doing now. I get bored. But she's so cute. This little girl has 2 different color eyes. got her right eye. Okay, Google,
Google.
turn off. That's from my son's school. Okay, Google, turn off. Her right eye is lighter in color than her left eye. She's got a brown eye, and I believe it's a blue eye. Isn't that kind of neat? Very cool. So I will do my best to show that in my drawing. Once I get more on this eye, I started to already. This eye's slightly lighter, but I'll go back in and pick out some highlights in here to make it look more blue. So that you can tell that it's a lighter color than the left. All right. What's everybody having for lunch? I'm so hungry. I don't know what to make. I'm bored of all the food I have here. It's one of the things I miss about working in a outside studio is actually physically taking a break and going to get some food, you know? Really stepping away. I tend to work right through. That's probably the other reason why I get tired in the afternoon. But so you also notice that every once in a while I go from the dark area and I connect it up to the lighter area. I pull a line through. That's just so that we do know that there's a connection between the top part and like this curl, right? Kevin, it's her daughter. Yeah. It's Carolyn's. Oh, I can't see your full comment. Daughter, yeah. That's her daughter. They look a lot alike. It's really cool. When I draw people, I can really see the underlying features that makes them look like their parents. I was drawing my sister and her husband for a anniversary portrait a couple years ago, and when I did the outline of my sister, I was shocked to see how much she looked like my father's mother. It's just crazy. It's like when you strip away everything, you can see that, and it was so cool. I'm like, look at this, you look just like Grandma. It was really neat. More than I would have seen in person. I never noticed it till I was drawing her. Yeah, and same with Kaden. She looks so much like Carolyn. A lot of features that are the same. So at this point, I want to start to pull out some of the lighter hairs, just so I don't get lost. So I'm not finishing it, but I'm going to start to pull some out. So put this in. You need enough down though to pull that out, pull the white out, the lighter hairs out. If you don't have enough pigment on your paper, it's not going to show up very well. So you want to make sure. One of the things when I'm teaching I notice a lot is people are afraid to put the pigment down because they're like, well, I guess it all depends on how you do it, but this is how I do it. I do a add and removal technique. So you add pigment, and then I use my erasers to lift pigment. So if I don't have enough down, there's not enough to lift, and that can be very frustrating. So okay, so you guys can't really tell, but this is pretty dark. There we go. See that? Let me move this out of the way. That's pretty dark. So we've got quite a bit of pigment on there. Let me just smooth out a couple of these areas. And although it's dark, you can still see variation in the values, right? We still have the midtones showing through, some really much lighter color, light highlights showing through. And really, in here is going to be super, super dark. So I can definitely, when I get down to this area, especially along the head and stuff, there's going to be a, see that? See the dark, see the dark area here? So all of that's going to be coming through. And again, I said earlier I'm not doing the hair the same as the photo. That's not what she wants. So the photo is a reference for kind of her curls, but her mom wants her hair parted the way it is. She doesn't want it flipped over like the photo. So hopefully that doesn't confuse you too much if you're looking at it going, what is she doing? She's crazy. So now I've got this eraser. This is a mono eraser, and this is a Tombow. They come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. This is a little rectangular one. Oh, here it is. I've got a round one, and they actually come in different point sizes too. This is a Factus eraser. I have one that's really, really small too, but I don't have it with me. But you can use just the very edge to get that nice, to get like a line effect. So I'll show you here. So if I just take the edge of this, use a little pressure, I can start to lift some of these highlights out. See that? So I can start to get some lighter value into here and kind of create some of these highlights up against this darker shadow underneath. And what's going to happen is these will start to pop up, right? So anything that's lighter than the dark comes forward. So I can pull hairs in front of other hairs and create depth. See that? But that's too much detail right now. I just wanted to show you that. I don't really need to go into that much detail yet. I'm still just working on the value. Just getting some values in. So I'm still working in chunks. All that individual hair stuff will come later. Right now I just want to keep my highlights lighter before they get too dark. But see how that like lifts that hair right up off of the paper? That's how it works. So pull one forward here, go in here and pull this up because it's lighter. And this is where I kind of start to mold the hair and how I want it to look, the shapes. See? Pretty cool. So back here I'm not going to lift as much because it's darker. It's going to be darker, except for in this very back part. I'm going to create some highlights back here. So I'm just lifting a little bit, and up in here I'm going to come up from this side, just trying to keep the form of the hair the way I want it. So here I can lift a little bit and punch this up. I just want to give the hair some life. So, and with this, I can kind of create whatever I want because we aren't working from a reference photo. So we're just kind of doing it. And that's so much fun. I love being able to do that with hair. I could do hairstyles till there's, you know, just all day long. I love doing hair. It's my favorite. I think I like hair more than eyes, honestly. Even dog fur, real long dog fur and curly dog fur, it is my favorite. Love to render curls and waves. If your eraser gets dirty like that, you just rub it on you can just rub it on a sheet of paper or your pants. Either one will clean it. If you can't get a nice edge on the side of your eraser, you can use an X-Acto knife and cut it straight down, and that'll create a nice sharp edge. I also have these erasers. These are nice. These are like pencil erasers. You can sharpen them. Mine's kind of a weird point right now because that's what I wanted. I wanted like this kind of rounded point. These are awesome for hair when you get them at the right angle. They come and these you can get at Michael's. It's not working very well because of the application right now. The way I've got it, what do you call it? Sharpened. And then you can always use, these are fabulous too. These are your kneaded erasers. Every artist who wants to be an artist or work in the art should always have a kneaded eraser no matter what you're doing. Sketching, graphite, colored pencil, these are fabulous. They can lift color, they can create lines, they can erase big spots, you know, big areas. But what I do is I just cleaned it because I was using it for something else earlier. But you can mold it. If you try to do it as a point, you're not going to get a clear line out of it because it's going to bend. But what I do is I mold it like that, like in a line, like that, and then I can use it. Now, it's probably going to be too, there's a lot of black here, but rather than creating a line, I can lighten that area quite a bit with it. So, just by very lightly rubbing it back and forth. See how it just takes some off? If I wanted to create a line, I would do the same thing, and you can create a line like that. Let me see if I can show you guys right. I'll try to do it right here. So see how this is all dark? I can just get that line edge, and then I can go in here and create a line just like that. See? So these are nice. Any eraser will work, honestly. They all work really, really well. This is great for lifting small amounts at a time. So if you don't want to put a real white line in there, you can just go in and gently lift some off and create that highlight. So you can get lots of different tones with the different erasers. So that kind of gives you guys an idea of how I work hair. I'm actually now going to take my, and this is done, like I said, I do this in layers. I'm going to take a paintbrush now, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of rub these white areas that I create. I don't want them white. She doesn't have white hair. I don't want it the white of the paper. So I'm just going to knock these tones back by using my, my paintbrush. And that's how I can get, like in here where I don't want it too light, but I want it lighter here, I can actually work my paintbrush back and forth right here and get a little more on the edges, a little more color than I would, and then I just clean it off on some paper and then bring this way. And it'll keep it darker here at the root, but lighter toned down here. See?
The X-rays in room 2 are going to have to wait. We're down to one hygienist. It's time to hire.
Something's on my paper. It's not good. So dab that up. That's what this is for, keeping it clean. We don't want to get anything on this paper. It shows everything. Every little bit of oil, every smudge, if you don't keep it clean. The graphite and the charcoal will stick right to it, and it is incredibly hard to get off. It's a blemish. So you have to be careful. You want to work very, very clean. This is Bristol board. I don't usually use Bristol board. I usually use hot press watercolor paper, but I just wanted to try it. So I did. But it is hard to work with. It's beautiful, but it leaves a lot of oil and stuff from my hands. So I try to not touch the paper itself very often. But look at how beautiful this is just from that little bit. Look at how nice that looks. So the more you layer it and the more you work at it, the more it's going to look realistic as you go. So I'm going to stand and just draw. If you want to hang out and ask me questions, you're more than welcome to. But I am going to jump off pretty quick here. I need to eat. It's lunchtime, guys. Nobody gave me any lunch ideas. What are you guys having? Tell me. So I'm going to come in here and just kind of darken up along her forehead line here. I want to get, eventually this will be a nice dark area because it's underneath the hair. I almost said fur because I work on animals so much. It's under her hairline, so it's going to be real dark in here. But I haven't really worked that area yet. I'm just pulling this over. I'm not adding any graphite or charcoal right now. I'm using what's on my paper and smoothing it out. So see how we have a line right here? Eventually that will be gone. It'll transition from dark to light. And we'll get a nice rounded, curved forehead. Nice curved look to the forehead. All of my paper will eventually have graphite on it. There won't be any white of the paper except for the eyes, where the moisture in the eye is. That'll be the whitest part. Everything else on my paper will have some kind of value on it. So even the lightest in here, the very, very white of her forehead, has graphite on it. I don't want any harshness. I want it smooth. She's a young girl. She's got incredibly smooth skin. No blemishes. She's just, you know, perfect at this age. Just beautiful. So I will blend that until I get it where I want it. So now that I've got that, I'm actually going to work down the side here a little bit on my picture. If you guys want, I can do a live on each section of her face, like her mouth and her teeth, if it helps you guys. You know, I don't know if it's something that interests you or not. I know when I'm learning, it's sometimes nice to read it, but then to actually see it done helps me a lot. You know what I kind of want to do? I kind of want to bump this out. I want to give that like that. Just give it some character. So by doing that, now I can just go in here and make this darker, but keep up here lighter. And then bring this like that. So just by doing that, I've created this little bump up in the hair, a little curl. So now I can go in and soften it. Soften it up here. Now, something you have to remember, you have to connect the pieces of hair, the chunks of hair. So now that I made this little bump up, this chunk, this piece here, right here, has to come out somewhere. So we're going to connect it here, and then we'll bring it over here. We'll bring it out right here. So like that. So it'll come here, and it'll come down like that, and up in here, like that. I'm not worried about this right here because I can bring that out in just a minute. And then I'm going to bring it over this way. So really what I want to do is grab this and bring this like that, and bring this down and around, and we're going to take it right into this chunk here. See that? So we just connected like this piece to a piece up here, and at the same time we gave it a little bump up and some depth, so which we'll see more of as we go. pretty. I don't know where I'm going to take this, so I'm just going to let it hang there for a minute. I got to look at it. Maybe I'll just leave it. Kind of like it. What do you guys think? You like it? It's kind of doing its own thing. It's like the rogue hair. You can't tell me what to do. Okay. Now here is going to be darker because this piece goes in, but as it comes forward it's lighter. And then darker here because it's turning again, it's turning away from the light. And this is on her forehead. So, starting to build up the darkness on the forehead. I have a portrait I'm doing for my subscriptions. Guys, if you haven't subscribed, now's a good time. What I'm doing is every quarter this year I'm creating a new piece of artwork, and it's only for those who are on my subscription list. It's not going to be available to the public. So it's a special drawing, four different drawings for just the people on my subscription list. And my first one is a girl, and it's so cool. I don't know if I should tell you, but I love it. You know what? I'm not going to. It should be a surprise. The whole point of the subscription is, first of all, to get really cool art 4 times a year, right? Something totally different, something maybe out of your comfort zone, but that you'll just absolutely love. And second part of it is to be surprised. Like, how fun is it to go to your mailbox, because we always get bills and nothing really fun unless you subscribe to a magazine or something. But how cool would it be just to get 4 times a year something special for you, a gift for you, that you can open and you are totally surprised. It's like a birthday surprise gift 4 times a year. And I guarantee you the quality is going to be amazing. So they're going to be prints of the original artwork. Each one, it's probably going to be somewhat of a series, so they'll be very similar but not identical. And each one is going to be something new and different. So if you haven't subscribed, go on my website, go to my subscription page and get yourself signed up. The first one I'm hoping to deliver on October 15th, and then it will be every quarter on the 15th after that. So you don't want to miss out. And once my spots are sold, that's it. There's not going to be any more room for anybody else. It's $80 for the subscription for every 3 months. So it's like $40 a month, which honestly for a limited edition exclusive print, 8x10 print, is quite a deal, because you are going to be the only one who owns it. Think about this too, like what an awesome gift, Christmas gift this could be for somebody, especially that art appreciator. So definitely something you want to look into. It is so cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so see that? Look at how I'm starting to get lift there, right? If I want, I could actually bump this up. One thing I don't use is white pencil or charcoal on my drawings, and the reason why is it actually begins to look blue It has like a blue tint to it. I have done it in the past for a certain effect, but it's not white. It doesn't come out white. It comes out like a grayish blue color. So if you're going to try that, know that ahead of time. It doesn't come out perfectly white. It's pretty. It's very, very pretty. But it may not be the look you want. It might not be what you're looking for. So I'm going to push a little harder here. I'm going to make this whole piece here stand up. Like that. There. I connected that. I like that better. Just get rid of this. I want it chunkier here. A little bit chunkier. Too white, that's okay. We take our paintbrush, tone it right down. Just like that. Paintbrush is awesome. Awesome tool. Alright guys, I'm going to jump off. I'm going to go get some food. I hope everybody, whoops, I got a little too much charcoal there. So what I can do, I see that little line? I didn't mean for that to happen. So I'm going to take my makeup tool, this little handy dandy sponge. I'm going to go from the lighter part and lift up into the darker part and erase that without using the eraser. Why don't I want to use the eraser? Because that will take all that real light graphite I put on to give her a real nice skin tone. It will lift it off and I'll have a really white line there, and it's just harder to get rid of. So if I just take my time and just dab this a few times with my sponge, I'm not damaging the paper at all, and I'm blending out that little bit of extra charcoal I got on there. See? So I didn't have to actually erase it. So everybody have a fantastic day. This is kind of where we are. Isn't she adorable? I will come back on and show you the nose and the mouth when I get to them, and the eyebrows, because the eyes aren't done either, but I did already kind of show that. So I'll show you the rest. Everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.